Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I've recently started carrying this dude again, gallivanting, and I've done some slight modifications to it. And one of them, I figured I would just share how I do it. It's not super complex, but it ends up working out good for me. I originally saw something similar on the zipper of a backpack owned by a fella named Gary Doyle, who I think would be a good president one day. Just keep that in mind. If you're not familiar with Mr. Gary Doyle, you should check him out. His Instagram is @GaryDoyle. He's a rather handsome rascal. But yeah, enough before I get sidetracked. He had, this is the same, overall, it's the same. It's a little bit different. So, he had zipper pulls that he had put, I don't know if he had done it or he had just got them, but it had really long zipper pulls of paracord with heat shrink tubing on them. So I like that. Like the ones on my backpacks that I use all the time are really long. Like I have one that's this long and then another one that's almost twice as long for the main zipper, so I just know where it's at. Also, I will put a glowy on the end of specific pockets so I know which zipper pull is for what pocket. These are the factory. This is the Helicon Tex Bushcraft satchel right here we talked about. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time. I made it like the perfect spot where it doesn't want to zoom in. These are the factory zipper pulls, and this, I would think should be towards the bottom, but it's the same principle as we're doing here. A paracord mantle with a piece of heat shrink tubing on there. So first thing you got to do is just cut them off. Cut it off, and then pick what color you want. I like this high vis orange with this pink looking. It's almost like a neon pink, really, but people say it's orange. But I'm not going to argue with them. Then select your length that you want and remove the kern out of it, I believe is the technical term. And then you want to take one end, and we're fighting like super wind out here today, but take one end and melt it and just kind of flatten it out so that flat will go through the eye of the zipper easier. Then take your determined length of heat shrink tubing and just put it over there. Some of the long ones, sometimes you end up having to put a piece of real thin wire through it, like snare wire. You just run it through here and then loop it around itself and have a big straight piece that you run through. But this was pretty simple. Then I'm going to put one of these super awesome glow nuts that my buddy E made for me. Surprised me with these at the last Georgia Bushcraft we were at. She makes the best glow there is, period. So it's Who is Citizen E. You can check her out online. She's got a store where she sells lots of glowies, and they're the best. They're the brightest glowies I've ever used. But there we go. I just do an overhand knot. I'll pull this down towards the end. I'll take my ladder. That's when the wind will start blowing a bunch, probably. And I just start heating it up. You can use a heat gun. The black stuff will wear off eventually. Like the sooty look, it'll just turn plain pink after you've gripped it for a little while. And that's it. And the reason I didn't put any more glowies on here, except for this one. Man, that's horrible. I don't know why it won't. Friggin'. Maybe that'll help. But no more glowies. So these two, these are my top. I'm not going to put any glowies on them. My flashlight and headlamp and stuff are in this pocket. That's why I wanted to put the glowey on there. I wouldn't wait till it was pitch black, but you never know. Crazy circumstances happen sometimes. And then on the inside, I have another pocket inside that just has a piece of paracord on it. So you can color code different things. If you had say if you had something that had several different pockets on it, you could use blue and say that's your water. You could use red and say first aid. You know, on down the line. Yellow, navigation, or it's where your lights are, whatever. You can pick and choose. And you know, you could use red for water if you want to. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. It's just a good way to know where what is. I know special forces guys sometimes, or groups of soldiers, they try to keep the same thing in certain places on their pack or within their gear. So if something happens, regardless of who gets whose pack, what they're looking for is in the same place, if that makes sense. So, you know, if they're looking for a flashlight or whatever, they know if they look in this pocket, that's where the flashlight's going to be. And that's pretty smooth. If you're, you know, and I actually think they talk about some stuff similar to that in a book by Bradford Angier. He talks about people carrying the same firearm. That way, all of your ammo is the same, and you have interchangeable pieces if something were to go wrong. You could cannibalize one to fix the others. Just that'd be long-term survival stuff, but this is just something so I know where it is. A couple other things that I've done with this bag is on the bottom I added this dog hair for extra insulation. Yeah, but I put some shockcord on the bottom. That way I could attach stuff to the bottom if I wanted to. I could put a tomahawk on there or a small hatchet, my jacket, different things. Nothing really of size. I could add 2 more loops of shockcord if I wanted to put big stuff, but this would just allow me to attach some smaller stuff to the bottom. I also added a couple of smaller pieces to this end piece of webbing here. And one side is the pass-through pocket. I got a flashlight in it. And the other is the solid bottom pocket that I have my saw in. So I just made a little safety piece on each end that I can slip over whatever I happen to have in these pockets. I also used the webbing on the end just to put a couple of carabiners on so I could attach things to it, or I can take this one off and wear it when I want to put my gloves on my belt, for example. I can just take this off and rock and roll, and I still have a spot to attach other gizmos. And there's the webbings on both sides, of course, but yeah, pretty simple mods, but will be useful for me personally. I got me a little bubble compass on here too. I love those things, just to give you a roundabout direction. So when you're walking and stuff, especially out here, I know which direction I can turn and walk back to the house, just because I've looked at it so much. I know from where I am, what direction I need to go to do what on this property out here. Now, there's 6 miles of horse trails, so you can go a whole bunch of different ways, but I know roughly the direction to go whichever spot that I want to go. There's a creek and a picnic area, and there's 3 creeks, but the creeks have spots that are really sandy where you can take horses and drink. Those are in specific spots that aren't close to each other. There's a big pile of rocks. There's a big huckleberry patch that's got some really old mountain laurel. So just a super cool spot, some small waterfalls and stuff, but I know just from looking at this thing when I go, I have one on my chest rigs too, I know about which direction I need to head in to get them. But anyway, y'all, I appreciate the support. Here's another little modification you can do to personalize or tune your gear, make it a little more yours. But I appreciate the support, guys. Hope 2025 is doing good for you. Don't give up. If you got New Year's resolutions, keep going. But I will keep doing what I'm doing. And you can check out older stuff at Bushcraft Kelso on Instagram or bushcraftkelso.com for gizmos and gadgets. I just loaded a whole bunch of stuff back onto the website. I have some new stuff that's going to be coming up, maintenance items this weekend. A bunch of restocking I got to do anyway, but keep an eye out for that. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'll keep on keeping on. You do the same. Later.